So what is the CCAT in general? CCAT is Criteria Cognitive Aptitude Test, which is used by most of the employer these days to hire new candidates. It could be used in leadership, it could be used in IT, it could be used in different sections and different streams. Usually it has 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes you need to answer 50 questions, and questions are not very complicated. Questions are more in general your school level questions. It uses it has several kinds of questions, like from logical and from maths, from verbal, and also there are some based on speed as well. So if you are good in your mathematics in your schools, if you were good in your mathematics in a school, you would be able to pass this exam very easily. But for sure you will need a lot of practice to get into that speed, because it's not about solving the questions, it's more about how fast you can solve that, and also in a limited amount of time. So, and also it's been this is one of the most popular tests right now in the market. It's used internationally, it's used from Amazon, it's used from so many different big companies, also from Accenture. So it's very important for you to practice as much as you can each section, so that you can pass this exam in time. The test structure, as we were mentioning before, it has numerical reasoning, which has some math patterns, which has some word problems, and it is still, it's very doable if you are good in your maths and if you have um, basic understanding of how these problems are. Yeah, so this is not challenging as such. It's more about if you have practice enough to complete the test in time. Same goes with the verbal reasoning. It has synonyms, antonyms, sentence logic. Then goes next is logical and abstract reasoning, where they will give you a lot of different patterns and shapes and you name it. Afterwards, you would be asked which pattern is similar, which pattern is different. So it's nothing out of usual, but it's again, you need lots of practice to clear this exam. Next one is a spatial and pattern recognition. It's a matrix with some rotation will be there. You have some kind of, it's very similar to, so it's not very strict based on like what kind of questions you're going to get in the test. So it has some numerical, some verbal, some logical, spatial could be into like basically it could be in between. But overall, what you have is 50 questions and in 15 minutes. So it's kind of a mix. So but in order to pass this exam, you need to practice for all these questions, and it has a very harsh time pressure, which is 18 seconds per question, and it's quite competitive. Most of the candidates who give these tests, they're very close to that 18-second mark, or almost at that level. So that's why I kept repeating, but you need to practice for this. And what is a good score? So a scoring benchmark for CCAT is average score is approximately 24, and competitive score could be from 28 to 34. So of course, not everybody is able to solve all those questions, and even if you solve it, just remember that some question would be wrong. So that's why, though it's 34 or 28, but those guys might have solved 45. So that's why you should also aim, of course, accuracy plus speed. If you are not having a good balance between these two, then maybe you will solve less questions and still there could be few wrong, or you can be a little bit faster and you also have not bad accuracy. So like the right balance when you reach at this point, and that can only happen when you practice enough and see how much you're scoring. Maybe first time you score less and keep on practicing until you reach your sweet spot. So top 10% usually get 35 plus for sure, and it's I would say it's not that complicated. It's just if you can practice enough, it's totally possible to do 35 plus as well, and there's no negative marking as well. So guess when unsure, you can just easily just do that, but also don't spend too much time on this, because in that case you will just lose your time on just guessing and you lost 1 point which you could have got if you have solved the question genuinely by yourself. So strategy for scoring 30 plus in CCAT. So skip hard questions instantaneously, like as soon as you get a hard question and you can assess it, like okay, this question is not solvable, just skip it right away, because there's no point in wasting the time, because there could be a better question afterwards, and for sure there would be, because in this case we know that we won't be able to solve 50 questions, so 4 to 5 questions easily could be skipped if it's hard. But of course there's a limit to that as well. It cannot be like you skip 10 questions. So yeah, so just be mindful of that. If it's really hard, not like a little bit hard, focus on your strongest section first. So you can see when you start a test, of course you can choose like which section is you are best at, maybe word or maybe something else, but I would suggest you pick the one where you can really be super fast, which you have practiced well as well. Use elimination for all the questions. As I mentioned before as well, these questions are very simple, so just eliminate as soon as you see 3 words, 1, 2, third one, eliminate. So it could be also very fast to answer those questions. So you can do that to answer much more questions very quickly. Learn patterns, shortcuts for logic before going to the exam, or even before starting to practice this before the exam. You need to focus on the pattern shortcuts. So for example, how this pattern is being formed, what is changing in that, and you need to understand that, and for that you need to practice. And again, there is a link in the description. You can go and check, you can just practice yourself by free on hackacademy.com. So you can try that. Do not aim to finish all 50 questions. Of course, don't be stressed about 50 questions throughout the exam. Your aim is to do your best, which could be 35, which could be 28, which could be 27, which could be 24 as well. But if you think about 50 questions, you will be more stressed. Just remember, one question at a time. Target yourself totally, understand the question as soon as possible, and boom, you just solve it to your best ability. The people who cannot do, who don't do well in these exams are who don't perform well under stress. So if somebody tell you you have 15 minutes to do 50 questions, they get stressed about it, and that's why they mess up even the questions which they could have done it easily without a time pressure. So time should not be on your head, and you should be as comfortable as possible. So the next step is practice some more. You need to practice for CCAT as much as possible to pass the CCAT exam and get your job. So if you don't want to pay any money, of course you can go on the first link, which is free CCAT practice test. You can go and try it yourself. You can see how you are performing, but of course it will come with limitation. You can try, I think once or twice you can try that,